Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum brothers and sisters. Alhamdulillah, this morning I'm able to continue with making this video on the subject of religion and belief, which I think is important because we are talking about belief and religion. We will face the day of judgment whereby our belief will be questioned, and if our belief is right and what we're doing in this world is right, then our Creator will judge us favorably and admit us to paradise, and will live happy forever in paradise. But if we get our belief wrong, doing things not accordance to the requirement of our Creator on this earth, then will be judged as unfavorable, and then a person who is that unlucky will be punished by the Creator, because our Creator created mankind to serve Him. So failure to serve Him will have consequences that is terrible in the life of thereafter. Allah has revealed in the Koran, saying that I will send down my guidance to mankind. Whoever follow my guidance, no need to worry, no need to feel sad. So the objective of making this video is to make sure that we don't have to worry and no need to feel sad, meaning we'll get happy, we'll be happy, and why not? We enjoy life. It doesn't mean when we serve our Creator that we can't enjoy life. By sitting here, nice blowing wind is also enjoyment. I find sitting here in the open, enjoying the scenery, enjoying the fresh air on the edge of the river, and on that side is the open sea, and there's no pollution in this area, and the air I breathe is fresh. Sometimes the wind blow, just nice temperature that cool the body. That is an enjoyment. Yes, it is. I've been sitting here how many months already, enjoying the cool breeze near the sea beach is there. I can see the sea beach there, cool breeze, and at the back it's kind of jungle and trees like that. So it's enjoyment living in this world, which we have to be thankful to our Creator. So enjoyment, not necessary traveling in jet plane. enjoyment can be just sitting down in area where it is serene, peace and quiet. So it's quite peaceful here because nobody allowed to gather in one place. So when I find this place is empty and I am sitting alone here, so I kind of enjoyed it as well in making this video. So we are thankful for that to our Creator. Of course, it's not free. All this is not free. Brothers and sisters, we have to be thankful, and we have a work to do, which is to serve our Creator. So this kind of making video is kind of a small contribution to promote the teaching of the Creator to mankind, and from that I also encourage us to be happy and no need to worry by following the guidance given by our Creator, because I base my video on reading the Koran and the Gospel of Barnabas. Both are the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So brothers and sisters, normally I also talk on the event of the world, which I like to share with you what I have, my thought and what I've seen from the video or YouTube. I'm a person who like to watch YouTube, so every day I'm watching YouTube because I'm curious what is happening around the world. And one thing that catch my attention is the Taliban. Okay, in the previous video I talked on Taliban, so in this one I want to talk a little about Taliban. Taliban is amazing people. There are people in Afghanistan who has this high ideal to impose Sharia law in the country Afghanistan. But then at one time they had succeeded, but then the American came, attacked them. Then the government of Taliban was destroyed. But then now, recently, they had made a comeback. They carry on fighting for 20 years. And they had been successful recently to bring back a government that was destroyed before. So now the new form government of I don't know what you call it, Emirates, something like that, Emirates of Afghanistan, is best following the law of Sharia. That was actually the dream of the Taliban, to uphold Sharia law, because it's the law that is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So actually a Muslim country should follow Sharia law, but then it's not easy because we have opposition from non-believers or non-Muslim. Country that follow Sharia law had been under a lot of criticism of the unbelievers. Some of the unbelievers are obvious from other religion, so some of the unbelievers are also among the Muslims. So among the Muslim there are also we call not real believers. They believe is 50%. So this kind of people we call munafikin, which are the pretenders. They call themselves Muslim, but actually Allah see them as non-believers mentioned in the Koran, because Allah don't accept a belief that is 50% belief. So the belief that Allah accepted is only 100%. So if a person believe 100%, then he must believe in upholding the Sharia law. If a person don't believe 100%, then he may get influenced by non-believers or other people who don't believe, or the people of other religion criticizing Sharia law and they believe it. Just like saying cutting people's hand is cruel, inhuman, so they believe it. And they start to oppose Sharia law because of cutting hand. Even a Muslim leader, I heard saying that if Muslim hand are cut, in the end Muslim will have no hand. That is an absurd, sarcastic saying from that person, which is labeled by other leader as being category of munafikin. So it's not easy for a Muslim country to put on Sharia law. A lot of criticism from outside and inside. A lot. I've seen that. A lot of criticism. Even Taliban had experienced that. A lot of criticism. But they go on with it without worrying too much about the criticism they experience from, say, foreigners or even people in their country. What I see from what I see happening in the Taliban, there are part of Afghanistan that don't want to be under Taliban rule. A place called Panjshir district is under the Northern Alliance. So I got many stories of Taliban wanting to take this place, and some news say they are successful, some news say they are not successful. So now, as a person who just depend on the news of the YouTube, I don't know whether what is the truth, what is really happening there, whether the Taliban is successful. Lately, I heard a story that the leader of the Panjshir district is named Saleh. His house was being invaded by the Taliban. So if the house is invaded, meaning that the Taliban is already closing in the Panjshir district, meaning that they almost control the Panjshir district. That is the latest news I heard this morning, that the invasion of the house of the leader was already taking place or about to take place. That in reality, I don't know whether it's happening or not. And also women protesters protesting that they want women to be in the cabinet of the Taliban as well. Of course, in a Muslim world, woman is not supposed to get involved in the governing, because we've seen that in the past Muslim had not been involved in governing. The movement had not been involved in governing the country. So in this way, Taliban look like they are following the trend that there is no woman in the cabinet. But I don't know whether they will include women in the future. But I can see the problem if women be in the cabinet, because there is a barrier in Islam on the communication between women and men. Because if you look in the past how the Prophet ruled, he has friends around him that give him advice, but no woman in the circle of his friend. Only men was in the circle of his friend who advised him. But then Prophet is different, because his friend respected him as a prophet, and he got a mission from the Creator, his friend always asks. When the Prophet made a decision, his friend would ask, is this decision from Allah? When the Prophet said yes, then his friend just keep quiet and follow. But if the Prophet Muhammad was saying it's not from Allah, it's from himself, then his friend will intervene and give another view, and they will discuss and make a consensus to make the best decision for themselves. So ruling is best among friends. So if a lady came in, then they have a barrier with a lady, with a man and woman in Islamic culture. There is a barrier. Even school are segregated. The women's school and the men's school. So there's a segregation already from the beginning. But women still can contribute to the country in Afghanistan. Of course, I've seen women doctors, maybe women engineers as well. So there are work that women can do, but not the work of governing the country. But in the West, in the secular government is different from government based on Islamic way. Woman is not normal to be in the cabinet for that reason of ease of communication and some barrier. But then there are women protesters making posters, and they were on the street shouting. But then Taliban had decided that the street protesting is illegal and they have to have a permit. So the rule is they can apply the permit 2 hours before the protest. So that is not a strict rule. 2 hours. If they want to protest before 2 hours, they have to ask for permission and to give reason why what they are trying to protest on. So you see, the Taliban is also listening to the woman. Of course, it's their right to express dissatisfaction. They have to, then the Taliban will look at what they protest, and then they will have a consensus there, or discussion what is allowed, what is not allowed. I think that is good, rather than saying no protesters allowed, but the Taliban allow it, but subject to having this permit approved. So that is a positive development of what is happening in government way, in Taliban way of ruling. Okay, what else is on the Taliban? Yes, I'm quite surprised why there is resistance to the rule of Taliban. That surprised me. So meaning that there are people who don't like Sharia law to be in Afghanistan, but I can see that they are not good Muslim. If they had been good Muslim, they will support the formation of Sharia law. So, being not good Muslim, they opposed to Sharia law. I've seen that the bad Muslim or the Muslim, Allah see them as not believers. So if categorize them as believers and non-believers, they are non-believers. They are Muslim, but they are non-believers. And so that's why we see that their resistance to the Taliban rule, and not surprising, is what's happening. It happened before as well during the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that there are people, they live among the Muslim, but they are not believers. And I have read stories of Prophet Muhammad sending out 60 people from the mosque, ask them to go out from the mosque, because Prophet Muhammad knows they are not real believers. Okay, that's what's happening, and what I think what is happening, because it's the question of belief and not believing. It's very common expression in the Quran. We see the people who believe and the people who don't believe. So that's why I come to understanding that the people who oppose the formation of Sharia law are the people who don't believe. And strictly, they are not Muslims. If they don't believe, then they are not Muslim. They are just pretenders. So, brothers and sisters, let us go back to our objective of making this video, that is reading the Quran in the Gospel of Barnabas. So let me recap of the last reading of the Quran. I can't remember. Let me read the page. Okay, we just been people who don't believe, the believers and the unbelievers is mentioned here on the sentence that I think we have read this previously. It says here, people who are pretender is trying to cheat Allah. but then Allah cheat them. So the pretenders, so the Northern Alliance are the pretenders because they are trying, because they oppose the Taliban rule of wanting to form a country that follow the Sharia law. Then when they stand to pray, they would pray in a lazy way. They like to be seen and wanting to be praised by the people. They don't put a lot on remembrance of Allah except a little. So that is the characteristic of the pretenders or non-believers among the Muslims mentioned in the Koran. So now that is the recap. So today let me read the page. Should be reading Let me read the page that we should be reading this morning to get the barakah of this morning. So let me read the first sentence on this page in Arabic. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وَبِمَا نَعْضِهِمْ مِيثَاقَهُمْ وَكُفْرِهِمْ بِآيَاتِ اللَّهِ وَقَتْلِهِمُ الْأَنْبِيَاءَ بِغَيْرِ حَقٍّ وَقَوْلِهِمْ قُلُوبُنَا غُلْفٌ بل طبع الله عليها بكفرهم فلا يؤمنون إلا قليلا صدق الله العظيم. So what's the meaning of these sentences? Then we decided on them because they were going against the promise or treaty, because of their unbelieving on what had been explained clearly on the regard of Allah, and because they had killed the prophets without the right reason. And they say our heart is closed. In reality, Allah closed their heart because of their unbelieving. Only a few of them believe. So next sentence. Then we also decide on them because of their unbelieving to Jesus and their obnoxious accuse on Mary or Maryam. Omniscious accused meaning bad, really bad. Accused on the mother of Jesus. And we decide on them because of what they are saying. They say we kill Al-Masih, the son of Mary, the messenger of Allah. Verily, they had not killed him. And crucified him. But what they kill is a person that made to look alike like him. Verily, they have this lot of disputation with regard to the killing of Jesus. They don't really know who really they had killed, other than making a guess. They had not really believed that they had killed Jesus. Of course, if you look at the story, the person that had killed on the cross is named Ascariot. He had been telling people when he was dragged to be killed, he keeps saying that he was not Jesus. He keeps saying that, but people had not believed him. But that created a doubt whether they had killed Jesus or not, because the person that they had killed, they had actually killed, denied that he was Jesus. But then Allah raised Jesus up. Allah is powerful and wise. There is none of the people of the book that would not believe Jesus the time when he actually died. Then in the next world, Jesus will be their witness. So what happened was, in the next world, Jesus will be asked by Allah. Jesus will be asked a question: have you actually tell you man that you were God? And Jesus answered that never. So this is the kind of Jesus being a witness in the next world. Because of the cruelty of the Jew, then we make it forbidden for them to eat food that had been forbidden to them. As they like to stop or to put a barrier of people wanting to believe in the way of Allah, and they practice taking a jury. Verily they had been forbidden to do that. They had taken the will of others in the way that is not right, and we said the people of unbelieving among in the punishment that is severe. But then the people whose knowledge among them, who has knowledge among them and believing, they believe in the Koran that had been sent down to Muhammad, and the book that was before the Quran, and they perform salat and perform zakat. Zakat is like donation, and they believe in Allah in the day of judgment. Then we give them the benefit of good deed that is big. So some of the Jewish people are also believers. Not all don't believe, but they believe. They are also believers. They believe they had been sent down the book from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so they believe that as well. So they believe the Quran as well, and so their beliefs are true belief, and they will get reward in the day of thereafter. So that complete my reading on the Quran. So now let me read Gospel of Barnabas. Let's see what page. So I have marked here. Oh. Mark here. So we should be reading chapter 115 this morning. Okay, no more marking. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let men say somewhat to me, what has he brought into the world, by reason of which he would live in idleness? Certain it is that he was born naked, incapable of anything. Hence all that he has found, he is not the owner, but the dispenser, and will have to render an account thereof that dreadful day. The abominable lusts that make a man like the brute beast ought greatly to be feared. So what he says here, that life is not free. We don't own this world, so we are subjected to the day of judgment because we don't own this world. We are only like the user of this world. This is what he says here. The word, the dispenser. So we are the dispenser and subject to an account, and will have to render an account thereof that dreadful day. The abominable lusts that make men like the brute beast ought greatly to be feared, for the enemy is own household, so that it is not possible to go into any place whither thine enemy may not come. And how many have perished through lust? Through lust came the deluge, inasmuch that the world perished before the mercy of God, so that they were saved only Noah and the 80 human person. So 83 human person. So in Noah's Ark, there are 83 human beings in the Noah's Ark. It's not a lot, isn't it? 83 among I don't know how many thousand lived at that time. For lust got overwhelmed 3 wicked cities, whence escaped only Lot and for his 2 children. And there is a story of another prophet, Lot, because his people were homosexual, men preferring men, so Allah punished them, and the only people who escaped were Lot and his 2 children. So how many people in the 2 cities, and only Lot and his 2 children were saved. I think the rest were killed by brimstone, hot burning brimstone falling from the sky. For the last, the tribe of Benjamin had all but extinguished. And I tell you verily that I should narrate to you how many have perished through lust. The space of 5 days would suffice. James answered, O Master, that signified lust. What signified lust? Jesus answered, lust is unbridled desire of love, which not being directed by reason bursts of the bound of man's intellect and affection, so that the man, not knowing himself, loved that which he ought to hate. Believe me, when a man loves a thing, not because of God has given him such a thing, but as its owner, he is a fornicator. For that the soul which ought to abide in the union with God, his creator, he has united with the creature. So God laments by Isaiah the prophet of saying, Thou hast committed fornication with many lovers, nevertheless return unto me, I will deceive thee. As God lived, those whose presence my soul stand, if there were not internal lust within the heart of man, he would not fall into the external. For if the root to be removed, the tree died speedily. Let a man content himself with the wife whom his Creator had given him. Let him forget every other woman. Andrew answered, How shall a man forget the woman he had lived in the city with so many of them? Jesus replied, O Andrew, certain it is who live in the city, it will do him harm, seeing that the city is a sponge that draw in every iniquity. So, city is sin here is a place where a lot of sin and a lot of temptation. Okay, brothers and sisters, that complete my reading of the gospel. Thank you very much for listening.